the speech that we've been waiting for, leadership, making it a habit. Every once in a while in Toastmasters, we get a sparkling diamond. They don't come very often. It's just picked up once in a while, maybe once in 5 years, once in 10 years. And they make a whole lot of difference to the entire fraternity as also to the community. Our keynote speaker is one such sparkling gem. He's a managing committee member of Farabi Petrochemicals and the director for marketing and strategic planning. He's also a member of the International Trade Committee of Gulf Petrochemical Association. I could go on and go on about him. A striking strategist, a prominent keynote speaker, a meticulous evaluator, a champion speaker who has represented at the district 2 or 3 times, inspiring writer, a great philanthropist, our past division governor, past division E&L conference chair, but more than everything else, a wonderful human being. Any guesses who this is? DTM Peri will present the workshop on leadership, making it a habit. DTM Peri.
Thanks for that. Your style, elevating, wonderful introduction. My dear inspiration, DTM Jacob, who is also the master of ceremony. I am going to speak on this, on making leadership as a habit. Why this title, leadership, making it a habit? We will come to it. We will get to know it as we go through this keynote, hopefully. But before that, I want to ask, and I want to start with a question as usual. What comes to your mind if you have to ask yourself the question on who is a leader and what are the expected qualities of a leader? Let's look at some classical definition of leadership. A leader is someone who is able to create an inspiring vision of the future. Not only that, he has to inspire and motivate his people to be engaged with that vision. This is what the classical definition of leadership says. All encompassing, very holistic. I think capturing most of what you said, I think. There is something very similar to this mentioned by Ralph Smedley, founder of Toastmasters. Do you remember? Any one of you? Mutually, a leader is someone who has the ability to look ahead, think ahead, plan ahead, and influence his people to go ahead after the plan. Nelson Mandela and Mahatma Gandhi. Someone talked about Nelson Mandela already. This is what he says. A leader has to inspire greatness in his people. And how does he do it? How do you inspire greatness? It's a big word, big sentence. By exceeding your expectations. The same problem again. So let's get them back into jail. Do you know what he said? No, I'm not going to do that. My purpose is not to take revenge. My purpose is not to hurt them. My purpose is to build a great nation, a rainbow nation, a rainbow of all colors. And he went and embraced them against the expectation of people. That is exceeding your expectations. Be the change that you want to see in this world. What does it mean? Be a role model. Be a reference. And he was the role model for his own philosophies of sacrifice, non-violence, civil disobedience, to really achieve human rights equality. We want our lives to matter. We want our stories to be stories of significance. And what is intentional living? Intentional living is the bridge that builds the gap between normal living to a life that matters. If you are a breathing human being, you can be a leader. You will never be a better leader than the person that you are. You cannot choose to be a leader on demand. You have to be a leader by practice, by habit. Today, I am delivering a keynote to this wonderful audience members. I am a leader today. Today is Saturday, right? Tomorrow is Sunday. Okay, let me go back to work, start relaxing at my work. Monday, I am attending my club meeting. I want to be a leader. Tuesday, I want to go swimming at Bahrain. I don't want to. Can we be like this? Is it possible? It's simply not possible. A leader, because a leader has to be a leader in all his thoughts, all his actions, and all his dreams for his people. A leader has to think about his people, the wellness of his people, his team, and all spirit. A leader has no choice except being a leader in every single fiber of his being. A true leader is someone who looks beyond at the transactional value of a relationship, of the person, or a moment. We don't need a formal title to be called as divisional director or division E director or area director or a club president or a manager maintenance in Farabi Petrochemical Company to keep some people awake. We don't need such formal titles, right? All of us have the opportunity to practice leadership. Every one of us alive today has the power to inspire, to elevate and influence every one of them that we meet. A leader never ever takes things for granted. Leaders think very clearly, very differently, and very fairly. Leaders don't look at problems as problems. Leaders think about solutions to a problem. Leader never ever thinks for himself. It is always, most of the times, he is going to be thinking for you and me, not for him. That is the difference. Years, how she has contributed to uplift one particular community who are no way connected to her. She is from somewhere down south part of India, and this is up there in the north. Now let's reflect on all the leadership principles that we looked at. Intentional living, John Maxwell, making a difference to others. It was there, right? What Mahatma, be the change that you want to see in this world. She sacrificed her whole life. She's still there, fighting for these people. Going and living inside a hut, being with them, educating them, empowering them, energizing them, making them what they are today, trying to create a community which has been oppressed for whatever bad reasons. This is leadership. Let's try to reflect Nelson Mandela's exceeding the expectations to inspire greatness in those people to learn karate and education and everything. I think this is leadership. But how do we get there? I think if you have to apply all the leadership coaches' philosophies, it is applicable to this practice. She didn't went to any of the schools. Probably she didn't do an MBA or something, or a leadership, but it comes. Leadership is a commitment. You have to live beyond yourself if you claim to be a real, true leader, and that's what she does. Now, how do we do that? Now, looking at the attributes, the guidelines, I'm going to share some guidelines on which it's not my own guidelines, things that I read about and little bit of practice, but inspired by so many great leaders. Let's go through them one by one. Number one, persevere to excel. Now, perseverance and excellence combination. I think all of us know what perseverance means, right? Persistent to a chosen course of action in the face of a challenge. It's perseverance. 3 C's that should take the heart of a leader: clarity, connection, and change. Orientation towards all these things. Number 3, read and read. Go on reading. No, I didn't mean that. Read for yourself and read for your people. Read out for your people. And important, task or duty of a leader. Next one, be beautiful. Most of you are very beautiful. Yes, DTM Aziz is extremely beautiful. And be understanding. We will get to it when it is. Our daughter is very beautiful, okay, definitely. But how do we stay beautiful as leaders? How do we keep our people beautiful as followers, as team members? That's very important. We'll be discussing that. So number one, let's look at first one. Perseverance. Persevering to excel. Which is excellence or perseverance, whichever way you want to take, or persevere to excel. Now, as leaders, why do we need to excel? Any answers? To inspire? Yes. To make a difference? Yes, definitely. Self-belief, setting an example. Role model? Yes. Some more energy. Transform. I want. DTM Suresh, thank you. Something on from that side, because there is one champion speaker there. Raghupati. Sorry? Inspiration. Wonderful. Like, okay. All these things, again, are more or less there. But as leaders, why do we need to excel? Because all these leaders excelled because they loved. They were purpose. They were committed to their purpose. But as leaders, we need to create an impact. That's very important. An impact on the world around us. An impact that will have an effect on the people around us. It's extremely important to create an impact. If you have to create that impact, you have to be excellence focused. There is no other choice. And how big is that impact going to be? The extent of the impact that you can create on the world around us depends on the size of your commitment for the purpose. As leaders, we are reference points. We are role models. And people are, when you create an impact, people are observing your actions that create that impact. And those actions, your actions, are going to inspire people for big ideas, for quality, for people to define their own quality standards. It's going to help people to develop their own goals and targets and dreams. And to achieve excellence in a particular task, you have to be thinking, eating, sleeping, dreaming, and waking up thinking about the task. Otherwise, you are not going to achieve excellence. During the match, you are in pain. You are suffering. You are trying to activate your leg for just another point, just another game, one more game. The suffering is so much that your toes start bleeding as you are running for the players. When you are very clear, you can be very courageous about the decisions that you take, your choices that you make, the directions that you are going to show to your people. Clarity is so essential for leaders. Questions. And profound questions make them very self-reflective. Again, big word. Self-reflective is ask yourself, dig within you. Profound questions lead to excellent answers and great clarity. And ladies and gentlemen, great clarity is the DNA of authentic success and personal greatness in life. By collapsing the timeline, by having an accelerated experience towards things. Most people do not like reading many books. Most people do not like having new conversations. We like to, even in the conference I can see, some of us tend to talk to only people whom we are comfortable in talking with. We don't develop new conversations. We don't probably travel to new places. By beginning to have those, let me call it, experience building pursuits in your life at an accelerated rate, you can achieve a 10 years life learning lessons and learnings in probably quarter of the time. If you have to achieve clarity, if you have to get better choices in life, you have to build accelerated experiences in life. What happens when there is better clarity? You have better awareness. With better awareness, you get better choices. With better choices, you get better results. Before a person lends you his or her hand, you need to touch their heart rightly. Leaders have to be adept at adapting. Otherwise, you cannot be a leader forever. You cannot be a leader forever, at least in people's minds, hearts. You have to be adept at adapting. It's extremely important. Sometimes leaders, they're winners, they're great, and then they start resting on their laurels. They resist growth in flavor of pleasures and relaxations. That is not possible. Especially in today's digitalized and technologically driven world. Let's look at some more pictures here. See how change is important, how fast the world is changing, how accelerated the world is changing. This is the first phone call. This world, of course, was invented in 1876. Between the first phone call to the first website, the world took about 120 years. Okay, but from the first website to the first iPhone, it's about 30 odd years. Is it 30? No, it's even less than that. 16 years. I have some more statistics for you. This was radio. When radio was first invented, and for it to reach 50 million users, it took 38 years. For television, it took 13 years. For iPod, 4 years to hit 50 million users. Internet, 50 million users in 3 years. Facebook, we all know 1 year. It has to, right? Even 1 year is a long time. In Twitter, 9 months. Of course, one can say, yeah, WhatsApp is somewhere in between. That's why it was acquired at $19 billion. You know how much Facebook paid to acquire WhatsApp? $19 billion. That's approximately 80 billion real. You can convert it into Indian rupees or your local currencies if you want. That is the power of technology and change today. The power to conquer them. As leaders, we have to have great propensity to change. Mr. Mukesh Ambani, I don't know how many of you know about him. He's the chairman of Reliance Industries, one of the biggest petrochemical empires in this world, like SABIC and others. And he was in his Infocom launch. This is what he had to say. This world is going through a revolution of accelerated globalization, big words, through digitalization. And you know what he said? Whatever change this world has seen in the last 100, 120 years, you will see a bigger change in the next 10 to 15 years. I mean, it comes from a chairman of an empire. It's not, I'm sure he was advised by McKinsey and folks on that. Change is an extremely important attribute for leaders, to be change oriented. Read and read. You know, as leaders, a major part of your journey has to be filled with learning and listening. That's why it said, if you have to lead, you have to read. Why do people fail to pay attention in today's world? There are two problems. Number one, today an average person carrying a mobile phone or laptop, everybody carries that. He is bombarded with 63,000 words of data in a single day. Good and bad data. A nice word, I like this word so much, surfing. We surf through internet. DTM Jacob, you know, do you understand the beauty of this word, surf through the internet? We are always on the surface. We don't dig deeper. We don't jump in deeper. We are too busy being busy. It's excuses are the lies your internal fears are trying to sell you. Don't buy them. Focus. If you have to lead, you have to read. As leaders, for us to stay beautiful is also very important. You know, how much we invest on ourselves is very important. Again, in the organizations, we have quality control of production processes, maintenance processes, sales processes, finance processes. In schools, we have training processes. But do you have a process for yourself? Do we invest fitness exercises for ourselves? Do we have, probably you should invest enough time. We all should invest the time. We should, if you're a lover of music, we should listen to music for 15 minutes, 20 minutes every day. If you love talking to your great friends, you have to talk to them at least 10, 15 minutes a day. You have to remain beautiful for your people to follow you.
I applied for Harvard for 10 times rejected. When KFC came to China, I say, 24 people went for the job. 23 people accepted. I was the only one guy.
If you have more than $1 billion, Salama, it doesn't belong to you. It's the trust of people. You can be great at ideas. You can be always excellence oriented. But if you fail to connect with your people, you can't be a good leader. If you have both, if you're excellence oriented, but you can connect greatly with people, but you're not updating yourself with enough reading, you become outdated. If you're good at all these things, but you're not beautiful with your people, if you're not going to create security systems with the people, if you're not understanding, again, you're not going to be successful. So we have to be a good blend of all these things. That would be a fair thing to say. Finally, to be a great leader, we don't need a grand stage, but we need the grandness of all our thoughts. That is inspiration. To be a great leader, we don't need the grandeur of the occasion, but we need to have a clear outline of our action plan, and that is clarity. We don't need to be the world's best, but we need to demand the very best out of ourselves and from our team members. That is quality. And we don't need all the weapons on the wealth, resources of this world, but we need to invest limitless amount of courage and conviction on our ideas and actions. That is self-belief. And finally, leadership is not about me. It is always about we. Believe me, ladies and gentlemen, it's a blessed opportunity to be a practicing leader if you can make leadership as your habit. Sometimes it is that leaders are born. I don't believe it. I don't think anyone believes in it. Leaders are not born. Leaders are always made. But believe me when I say one thing. Once you're a leader, you always die as a leader. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.